Last weekend, a dozen scouts and leaders combined from Troop 1 embarked on our journey to Bear Lake Overlook, where we then packed our gear from Bear Lake Overlook to Sunrise Campground. And as you can see, we have all our gear strapped to sleds for ease of carrying. So here we have an amazing example of my favorite part of the Klondike, which is the creativity. Since it's all just snow, you can make whatever shelter you want. And here we have a yurt that is very much warmer, and it includes 3 scout graves with paracord keeping up the stake and a big tarp to keep out all the wind and little tarps to keep in the warmth. Here is a close-up of one of the scout graves in the yurt. Very cozy, has this tarp covering it, this blue tarp here. And that's for more like insulation, and then the outer tarp up above and to the left is for warmth and wind. Okay, and then this is another scout grave just opposite of it. Lots of room, very good for not being claustrophobic and enough to fit a pad in. Okay. And as you can see, it's very much tall enough that we can both sit and of course stand up in the shelter. All right, and then here's that same shelter from the outside. As you can see, just looks like a kind of yurt in the snow, hence its name, and beautiful scenery in the background, of course. We're very lucky to get to camp at such a pretty spot. And of course, very cozy in there. There's our entryway and a sled carrying gear so that the gear does not get wet in the snow. Okay, so here are some other types of shelters. Both of these are scout graves. They're very good because they can be simple yet very warm with insulation. And these are just kind of the skeletons of the graves, we call them, because the tarp is not on them yet, but we have the sticks still. Okay, and here's those same scout graves as soon as we've covered them. As you can see, there's some snow on the tarp, and that's actually intentional because that gives you more insulation. And you'll see that these walls are built up. That is so that it can be taller to fit you and your pad. And here's our entryway. It's, yeah, definitely very cozy in there. And there's a cold well down there. You can't really see it in this picture, but hopefully we'll get another one where you can, to trap all the cold air and keep it out. Okay, and here's some, you can see our trail here, this main trail that we've used. Very pretty indeed, much packed down, very packed down. You know, you could wear just normal boots on this by the end of it, where normally in this powder you'd, go down about 2 feet without snowshoes. And here is Oliver, I believe, digging his snow grave there and putting some snow on the top of his tarp for more insulation. And here's a close-up of that. This is our campfire. You can see below it, we have these really weird patterns. We think it's because of this mesh, but very warm, kept us very snug at night, dried off a lot of boots. Campfire is a necessity in the cold. And here is us. We hiked out a little bit to the Bear Lake Overlook so that you could see the beautiful views of the lake. On the left here, that's the south side of Bear Lake, and then about in the middle, these are the lights of Lake Town, and above it, there's some lights over there on those mountains, and looking towards Wyoming. Many beautiful sights at night on the Klondike. And here is the next morning. This is the perspective of what you might see in the morning from in your shelter. As you can see, you've got the cold well here that's kind of just covered up with your stuff so that your stuff is completely blocking the wind. And then there's your staircase out, and of course, the beautiful sunlight that is a relief to all of us by the end of the night. And here's a really good example of a scout grave that is going to be very cozy because there's so much snow insulating this. You're definitely not going to be cold tonight. And here is my mother in the scout grave. Very, very well crafted. Perfectly fit for her, which is very good because, you don't want to be claustrophobic, but you also don't want to be too cold. Here's a picture of Logan in his scout cave. Scout caves are the other type of shelter we were talking about. Very warm because instead of putting snow on a tarp, you have a big layer of snow, as you can see at the top, that keeps you warm. And here's another picture of that. This is Oliver looking out from his scout grave. Again, he has his stuff barricading the door to prevent wind. Here is Matthew and Ben with their cave in the background. It's kind of hard to see, but below them there is a very good cold well, and then it goes back up into their cave, which kept them very warm, and they actually even had little shelves in their cave to put their bedding on, which is really good. And as you can see above them, there's a bunch of X's because you don't want people walking above your cave, certainly. Definitely don't want to collapse your cave and ruin all your hard work. Here's Bear, and this shows just how beautiful the scenery we had in the background. There's a hill here and then a huge hill in the background. Very good for sledding, very good for just looking at the view of it. It was amazing.
Hey, this is me, Bear, and I had a wonderful time at the Klondike. So this is one of our scouts. You can see it's a pretty low narrow into like this cave, but it will keep you warm. Okay. See, this has a bit better lighting. You can see a bit better how low the ceiling is to the ground. Bit to crawl, and here you can definitely see that cold well my friend was talking about earlier better. So yeah, this is a pretty good cave in my opinion. Way better than my first. So this is just all of us gathered around at the fire, just talking and planning. As you can see, a lot of us are wearing coats. Some of us have cups of cocoa. Some of us are eating a Pop-Tart. One thing you definitely notice, a large majority of us are wearing beanies of sorts. Unless you count this guy. He's wearing a hat. So you can definitely see that some of us are getting food, so mainly breakfast food, so this is definitely around breakfast time. It revolves us together, actually paying attention to the camera instead of just talking about what we're going to do for the day. Okay. So this is what outside of our this snow yurt, as we call it, looks like. So here's my friend. Here's one of my friends that slept with us in the snow yurt. It's pretty warm, definitely if we bring like right equipment. There's Lauren outside of her snow cave. I didn't really get the chance to check it out, but it's guaranteed to be warm. There she is in it. So this is all of us together. Now you know. Okay. This is the inside. I'm sure you already know about that information. Oh yeah, we had ropes to hold up this stick, this huge stick. There's every one of the in his snow cave. As you can see, there's like a little bed side. That's actually I actually forgot the name, but I know it's used like so the cold air will flow through this while he sleeps on top of this. So this keeps him warm while the cold air sits down here. Pretty neat, huh? So this is a deeper picture, and as I was talking before, he sleeps on this while the cold air flows through this, keeping him warm all night long. So warm air stays up here, cold air stays down here. You get the idea. And here's another one of our scouts, Ben. And it's okay if it's pretty simple. Just like a simple like snow grave, your head will be at the entrance, your feet will be at the end, not reverse because that's probably where all the cold air will be end up going, is at the end of your feet. Here's our leaders just enjoying our fire. And as you can see, this is all our paths we generally took.